Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and anybody that's new, welcome. Thank you for all the amazing comments you guys leave and all the messages I get on my Crafty Shopper page on Facebook. You guys are amazing. So I was going to do another Jenga block, and that will be the next tutorial, and it'll be a Christmas one. But I just thought, since Halloween is just under a month away, I really wanted to do, and I had a few people crafters asking me for a Tree of Life, like Halloween edition. So that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to use this wreath from, this one I have is from Dollarama. My Dollar Tree ran out of their ones, so I had to go to Dollarama to buy one. But this one's a little bit bigger. So this one, they're both 18 inches, but the Dollar Tree one only has the 3-prong, where this one has the four bars. So it'd be one shorter. I'm not even gonna cut the wire off. I'm just gonna keep it, and I'm gonna do using this one. Now we're gonna put some jute rope around it. You can do different material. I didn't want to make the wreath more black than anything, so I'm just going to use the jute rope. You can do it different colors. You can actually use the jute rope, and you can even paint it purple. I did do a strand way over here, and I just wanted to see what it would be like if I actually decided to paint it. I just used the black on it. I didn't try purple, but that's just an option that I'm just showing you if you want to paint it after. If you know, we don't know, I never seen jute rope in black, but that's just an option. You know, I think purple would look great too, but I'm just going to keep it the neutral color. Now, these are the ones that I ever get at my local DT, is the big rope and the smaller one. Now, I would suggest, oh, and then they have the small little, I guess, twine part of jute rope from DT. This one's from the hardware section. Wouldn't recommend this because you'd be wrapping it for hours. Now, love Dollar Tree, but I'm going to use this one from Dollarama. Maybe for my American friends, you can actually find it in Hobby Lobby or Five Below. I think those are some of your, maybe a DT Plus store. This one's 9 meters on it, so the diameter is pretty close to the DT one, because this one's 9 meters, but this one's from Dollarama or Dollar Tree is 2.8 meters. And I think you would spend more money buying it from DT than if you could get it from another dollar store. It is just a tad smaller, as you can see, but you'd have to buy a lot more of these, probably like 8 or 10, depending. I'm going to use these. I know from my other wreath I did that I used, I think, 4. Now, saying that, I didn't have the extra ring on it. This one will probably have to use exactly 4 or a little bit more. I wouldn't suggest using the bigger one either. The diameter, yes, it is bigger, but then again, this is only 2.43 meters, and you'll end up buying a couple extra of these, less than the other one, but this one, the diameter is bigger. So you're going to do it like a clock with the 12 and the 6 o'clock. And because as you wrap it, the diameter is smaller than the outside of the wreath. So starting on this way, because you'll know it angles as you go up. And I'm just going to pull a piece out here for you that haven't seen any of my other wreath. I have a spring regular Tree of Life. I also did a fall Tree of Life not too long ago. On my main page on here, if you click the videos, you can find it in my list. So I would just wrap it here. I am just going to use hot glue, and I'm going to start it this way and glue it, and all the way around tight, all the way on your way up like that. So let me get that done, and then I will come back. So I finished wrapping it around. Like I said, it was going to be on an angle, and I just cut a piece off. You're going to put it up here, and you're going to make sure this bar here is your center. Make sure you hot glue it really good. Once you got that on, and I would hot glue it not only just to the rope, I would hot glue it to the bar first, and then onto the other back part of the rope. and hold it there. We're gonna go, once we do that, you're gonna, now the middle part, we're gonna go up and you're gonna just start, and it's just gonna be a little bit thicker here, but that's okay. We'll cover it up with a branch or whatever. So we're gonna go this way once, and you're just gonna cross over back this way a bit, just so like an X. Once you do that, you're gonna come up through these holes. Now there's 2 holes here. Once that's filled, you're gonna keep going this way until you work your way up. And eventually it's just gonna have a closure, and you just work around the rope. Either you're going on the handles on the left or the right of the hanging part. Super easy to do. Once we do that, we'll move on to the next step. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is you're gonna find a branch outside. I was able to get one from a client's house that they were gonna throw in the recycling. And basically I was playing around with the branches, so I didn't wanna do it on screen because it would take a little bit of time. But all these little sticks like just came off except the main part. And what you're gonna do is, before you glue anything on, just figure out, just take pieces of branches like I just did, like this, and just place them around. Mine is raised a bit, which is totally fine. It's full. I didn't want to go with the, similar to the fall wreath I did, I didn't want to do the one with the leaves. I wanted to do it without any leaves on it. I am going to do a little thing that I will show you later. But I just placed them now. As you can see, like this one is not glued there. Neither is this one. I am just gonna hot glue them on, and there's gonna be another step. Once you just hot glue these branches on, and you just gotta play around and figure it out, just glue them. And it doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be perfect or a line, even if it's sticking out like this one here. I'm gonna probably take this part off and just try to, I could have just taken it off anyways, but just the way it came off. And I'm just going to show you here. Well, this is in the way, but I'm going to cut it shorter. And I'm just going to glue it on there. So let me just glue it on. I will show you, and then we'll go on to the next step. So now that I got all the branches glued on, even though you see the hot glue, don't worry about it. You just might have to pull off a little bit of the hot glue strings. As you can see here, there's a bunch of pieces, and that's totally fine. I went on the back and totally reinforced them, so nothing is coming off. I just haven't picked up all the little strings that come off the hot glue, but that's okay, right? We're doing the Halloween version. So now this is gonna take a little bit of the time. I'm not gonna wrap jute rope around it. I've done that with all my other ones, and I just wanted to do something totally different. So now that I have it, the tree, the way I want it, we're just gonna go along the stem, and I got my cheap hot glue gun here. Now this part will take a little bit of time, because every time you do a layer, you're gonna want to let it dry. So we're gonna start up here, and I'm just gonna show you one line. So you're just gonna make a thin line. Even if it's globby in spots, that's fine, but you gotta let it totally dry before you move on to the next one, only for the fact that it will just melt into one big blob. So you're just gonna go down, and we're gonna build up the stem on it, and you're just gonna keep going down in just little strings. Now I'm gonna let that dry. Then I'm just gonna go along here again. As you can see, just little, you can stop in little spots, and that's fine. You can do that on the branches, but I think my branches are full enough, so I don't need them to be really any thicker. But I want to do the stem, and then I want to do it to the point that, so I'm going to let that dry, that I want to build a thicker trunk to it. So I'm gonna do a couple coats. I'll let you know how many coats that I do. And then just to make a bigger, thicker stem on it, and then we'll move on to the next step. So after trying 4 coats, I didn't like how the trunk was starting to look, so I'm gonna improvise and do something totally different. I wanted to show you so you can see it would take several coats that I wanted to make it look thicker like the other Tree of Lives I did. So I am gonna opt out for some bigger jute rope from DT, the 8-foot 2.43 meter one. It is a thicker rope. I already have some from another tree that I did. Open, what you want to do is unravel it, the 3 strings, no more than that. You want to keep some hanging down for the bottom for after. And I'm going to unravel it. I'm just going to do it here. And even if it comes up here, we can just cut it. Just glue it along the stems. You're not going to see it anyway once we paint it. So you're going to glue it on. I'm going to need more than this, I can see. You're just going to leave a little bit to make sure that you have about that much going over the bottom of it. And you're just going to glue it on with hot glue, just like that, all the way around. Once I get one layer on, I'm going to do another layer. So I'm going to need another piece, which I already have. When you glue it on, you know what, I'm going to do one right now. My hot glue gun is hot. I'm messy when it comes to the hot glue, I don't care. Okay, and we're just gonna place it on like that. I think I left it a little bit too much at the ends, that's fine. Then you're gonna repeat the step. You're gonna do it all the way around because we want the diameter of the trunk to be bigger. I don't like it thin, but you're gonna get thicker branches, unfortunately. When you have a thicker trunk, you're gonna get too much of big branches on there. Then we're gonna do that here again. I'm just gonna leave this much up. I'm gonna do it all the way around. Let me get that glued on and then I'll show you what we'll do after. All right, so I added the jute rope and I'm much happier with the way it looks. I just twisted it more and glued it onto the stems that it will blend in once we paint it. And now I have extras from, because I did the back side as well. So I just kind of separated it in a couple sections, but we're not going to worry about that right now. We're not going to glue it down. We are going to put some river rocks on the bottom. We're not going to do too much. We're just going to keep it low to here. We don't want to put too much on here because we have some other stuff that we are going to put into here. So we're just going to lift that up. We can just, I'm just going to take it off, and then every once in a while, just some river rocks, just like all the other 2 trees I did. And it can just be sporadic. And the only reason why I say that, I try to use the flat ones just so they're not so bulgy, but that's just me. That one's, I'm just going to show you why. I'm going to quickly do it here before I glue them on off camera. Because when we glue them down, we're just going to go in between the grooves. But obviously I'm going to put more rocks on than this, but so you're not going to go right over them, that you are going to see some of them. And we're just going to do, I think, just enough here, a cup to fill in the spots here and here. Once we do that, we'll come back and I'm show you how we're going to paint the tree and the stem. So I glued a few rocks on. I didn't want to go overboard with it, and I just used some Mod Podge, some shiny stuff, just to seal them on, make them a little bit more shiny. I'm just going to take some black spray paint. I think it'll be a lot easier than painting, but you're more than welcome to try painting it. I'm going to do that, and I know this part I'm probably going to have to paint, but I am going to just lie it flat. Oops, I shouldn't have put it on there. I'm going to lie it flat on my spray board, take it outside, and just spray paint it, and then I'm going to turn it over. So I want to let it dry thoroughly, so I am just going to spread them out more, flip it over, and paint it, and then we'll move on. Right, so I did 3 coats of the spray paint on the tree. I think it turned out really well. You can see there's some spots on the jute rope that aren't fully saturated with the paint, but that's okay. We can always touch it up, and we can kind of leave it, right? It's like a jury dead tree with a little bit of brown, no big deal. So the bottom of the stem, because I want it to stick out a little bit more, so I'm going to hot glue just way it is. You get it positioned on here, and I think it's a little bit crooked. I'm just trying to figure out up from the top here. I think right there. And I'm going to hot glue it. Then I'm just going to take some of the river rocks, some big boulder ones, little fat ones. I'm going to hot glue it, the rock to the reef and to the tree, so extra hold. I'm going to stick a couple here, so when you put the rope, I'm just trying to fix once I fiddle. It gives it a little bit more volume on the bottom, so it's not sunken in and then wrapped over. Once that's glued, I'm just going to start placing them in between the rocks. I'm going to just hot glue around there. Probably going to stick a little bit of more rocks in between there. I have smaller rocks on there. And similar to the Dollar Tree of Lives, or the Tree of Lives that are out there, if you watch my other videos, you could, I'm just going to glue them in between, I'm just going to use hot glue, glue them in between the rocks. Then I'm just going to wrap it around and tuck it underneath and hot glue it, and then cut the longer strands. Let me do that, and we'll move on to the next step. Now I glued it on. It's pretty solid, as you can grab it by the tree. I just put a few dots wherever the tree, the sticks, the branches were touching the reef. I just put a little bit of hot glue already around, but it was solid enough down here. Now, as you can see on the bottom, I did not glue the mender yet. I don't know why. I kind of like it looking, I don't know, different than the other Trees of Life. And I like that the colors is not totally black, that it has a little bit of, I don't know. I haven't decided. I'm going to wait till after. I haven't glued them under. I don't know why. I like different, and this one's different than the other Tree of Life. Now you can get these clipboards, chipboard shapes. They're just the ones from DT in the crafting sections. We're going to paint them black. I've already painted them earlier today. We're going to put them, there's different ones too. If you don't want to do the angled ones, they actually have the straight cut ones, but I am just going to use the angled ones with the higher part in the middle. I'm going to glue it right to the reef because it's not hitting the tree, and along the bottom, and the same thing on the other, same thing on the other side. I'm just going to put them, I don't need them too high, but like that. So my Dollarama and Dollar Tree don't seem to carry small crows. I went to a little independent local dollar store, buck or two. There's only a few. There's some in Canada, but they're very few and hard to find. I went in and I saw these little mini birds just because I couldn't find a crow. So I already took one off. I thought it was small enough that I just end up painting it black. And it had actually a little clip on it already. It's still a little bit wet. I'm just going to clip it here for now. That I just wanted to stick the crow in the tree. Now that I got the fence glued on, I'm going to use some Spanish moss from DT, and we're just gonna stick it around here. I'm gonna hot glue it. Just gonna lay it like that for now. So I decided I am gonna leave the strings out. I am not gonna fold it under. Okay, and I'm going to put, now these little coffins came from Michael's. I've tried you can use foam board, but I bought some little skeletons, which I'll get to in a second, and it was buy one, get one free. So I opted for just, it's a 4-pack from Michael's. You can, like I said, make it with foam board. I did cut it, as you can see here, because it was a little bit longer. And I just want to stick it in there like that with some hot glue. Probably not going to see the RIP, just because we're going to stick some pumpkins. And then I'm going to grab my skeleton. Now, these little skeletons, and any Canadian crafters that are on my channel that see this, let me know if you ever seen, I've seen in crafting groups that people have bought the 4-pack or 3 or 4-pack of them, and I've never seen them. For the last 2 years, I've never seen them. So I don't know if we don't get them in Canada, if it's just for the US Dollar Trees. For some reason, we don't get them here. So that's what I bought, and it was only a 3-pack from Michael's. And I am just gonna stand him right here and glue him. It all just depends where your tree is. You might want to lean them on something, but I will glue it like that. DT has these little pumpkins. Just cut the ends off. I am just going to throw a few little pumpkins. I'm going to stick some more Spanish moss in the back. Now I will add, I'm just looking here in my mess. Now just the spider web stuff. I've had a pile of it, and now it's sticking to my fingers. I'm just gonna put it, you know, just a little bit to add a little bit of color on the tree. And then, not that I'm gonna leave it like that, guys. And then I just actually have some little, I think they're flies. I thought they were spiders, but they're little flies. And I'm just gonna stick them there in the, the spider web, if you want to call it spider web mesh. So let me get this stuff glued on. Let me hang it up. Let me show you what it looks like hung up. I think it's a really good idea. If you don't want to go out and, I don't know if you can find the skeletons, you can also use a little foam ball, and you could just make a little ghost hanging from the tree. You can, there's so many different ideas you can do with it, but I just like how this one turned out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, but let me get this all glued back on. Let me get it up on the wall, and then I'll show you what it looks like totally finished. All right, so I finished putting everything together. As you can notice that I actually flipped under the strings on the bottom of the wreath. My son didn't like it. So being a good mom, I swapped them underneath and I just hot glued them. I think the little spider web has come out pretty cute. You can't really see the little fly in there. I did stick one of the little DT hay bales in the back, and it turned out really well. If I was just going to mention, I forgot to mention before, the little fence, you can't see as much as it on this one just because I have a lot of things in front of it, but I actually suggest putting it on if you've done the tree of the fall tree of life that I did. I'm gonna do that because at the time I couldn't find them at the store, and of course when you see them and you don't buy them, when you go to look for them, you can't find them. But I think it turned out really well. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for all your inspirations and amazing comment, guys. I really appreciate it. Happy crafting. We'll see you next week. We're gonna do Jenga blocks again, and I'm gonna do a couple different Christmas trees. See you soon. Bye.